Welcome to Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and it is time to sew our mystery together for blocks number 4 and 5 for Sparkle and Shine from Cotton Cuts. Now we get the packages in the mail, or we might have already got all of them in advance, but we do have the directions to continue number 4 and 5. I'm doing a large and a small version. So let's jump right in and see what today's mystery is all about. So I have the 2 months in both sizes to do. And these boards are just canvases that you can paint on, but it helps keep me organized. Oh, and mystery number 5 comes with a free gift. Your gift might be different, but it is one of these puzzles that I'm going to be able to throw in my purse. So when I'm sitting waiting for an appointment, I can do that. There are so many different fabric variations that you can follow along with. So the directions are in black and white. So you can take time and color them up so they match your color chart. You can also just put some little labels on them to help us keep organized. So the first one I'm going to put together is mystery number 4. It's the small one. And it won't matter the colors that you're following along, the directions will be the same. I do take time and I put all of my fabrics so they're right sides up, and I make sure that I do have all of the fabrics. With some labeling, I'm going to be able to begin. The pattern does give us what the finished blocks are going to look like, but we do have the step-by-step directions to go along. The first step is we're going to sew B and C together. And with those little points trimmed off for us, they're going to match together perfectly. So we can do our 1/4 inch seam allowance. When those 6 units are put together, we need 4 of them to go towards the C and 2 of them to go towards the B. For the next step, we're going to take 2 of those pieces where the seams were pressed to that C. We can now join that small A triangle to the bottom left of this B piece. And we're going to press that coming out. Once that A triangle's on, we will be able to put on a second A triangle. And we will also press to the A. So we will have 2 of these units. Take 2 of those large A's, and it's going to fit up at the top of this C block. And this is also going to press out. This is going to make 2 corner pieces. For step 5, we're going to take those 2 remaining pieces where the seams are pressed up to that C. If we place that so it's facing upright, we'll be able to take 2 of the E pieces, and they're going to match right up. So E and B go together. When that one side is done, in the opposite corner, we put 2 small little A's. And that also is going to be pressed out. Take the remaining 2 little triangles and we're going to put them on the bottom right and press that out. We have 2 remaining squares where the seams were pressed towards the B. Take that large A and sew it right beside that C side, and the E is going to get stitched on top of the B. And both of those seams are going to press out. We now have 2 of each of these units. We're going to start with the 3 with the A, and that's going to go to the left. That last piece we put together is going to go so that the larger A is up at the top. Then the A's are going to go on the outside. So all of the A pieces are going to be running along the top, and the 2 large E's are going to be in the bottom. So when we sew these together, the seam is going to go towards the center on both sides. Label these section 4, and now we can move on to number 5. Clue number 5 is the one with the free gift. We have 4 blocks. They are going to be identical. So in this case, I'm going to use this picture and lay out the pieces. So this is what the finished block is going to look like. So laying this out first is going to make following those directions even easier. So we will be sewing these units together first, and the seams are going to be pressed to F. Once those little half square triangles are done, we're going to be able to put on that solid C square, and it is going to go onto that F side. So we're going to have 8 of those units. We can now take that pile, divide it in half, and sew them together. So F is going to be pointing into the center. We will now have 4 of these units, and that's all we need for step number 5. I not only label them, but I do put them back in the bag with the directions. You just never know, I might need those when I go to put them together. So let's do 4 and 5 of the larger one. For the large number 4, we're going to have 2 of each of these units when we're done. So we have section A, which is this long piece, and section B, which will be here. So let's start with section A. For that first unit, we're going to take F and E, sew them together, and press towards that F, which will match our 4 C's. And those are going to go on that left-hand side. With those 4 units done, we can just take that, give it a little bit of a twist, and sew those together. So the F will be pointing into the center. And press those seams down. Now we're going to be able to sew together those 2 units for A and E. So we have 2 of these units and 2 of these stripes, and they will fit together. So the C and the E are going to line up. Match them up, sew that 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we will have 2 units that look like this, and this is section 4A. I'll slip that into the bag. To start that 4B section, we're going to take 8 of the A's and 8 of the D's and sew those together and press the seams towards the D. Take these half square triangles and make 4 piles of 2 and put them together so that the A's are touching, and then on each end we do have A's and B's. So the D and A's are touching and the D and B's are touching. And we're going to always press out to the solid squares. So that will give us 2 units of each. We're going to sew these units together, but we're going to flip them. So we're going to have an A and a B in each corner, and the A's are on the outside. And press them going towards the B. With those 4 little units done, when we look at what's left over, we will need to make 2 flying geese by sewing A onto each side of the D. Press the seams coming out, and those 2 leftover A pieces will get stitched on the top so the A's do match. With that center unit done, we will be able to sew on those corners. The A's are going to come to the outside, those B's are coming to the inside. With these seams stitched together, we're going to press everything towards the inside. And these 2 units are labeled 4B. So we have the 4A and the 4B done. We will now be able to go on to clue number 5. Clue number 5 for the large quilt still comes with a free little gift. These really do go together just like puzzle pieces. For this month, we will be making 3 pieces. 2 of them are the same, and this one here at the top. And the first step is making this hourglass block. We will need to put E and A together, and we're going to be sewing them along a short side. And if you're not sure what side to sew together, we can lay that block out. So we want 2 of the E's and 2 of the A's together. And this just gives us a good idea on how they're going to be stitched together. And that's going to give us 1 hourglass block. When we do sew those halves together, we're going to be able to press the seams in opposite directions. That's going to give us a little pinwheel here in the bottom, but it will lay nice and flat. We need to make some flying geese. So the small A triangles will go on each side of the D. Sew the one side first and then press to the A, then sew the second side and press to the other A. We now have 2 flying geese, and those longer A's will fit right on the top. And I would recommend sewing with that point on the top, and that way we can get right into that intersection. Press those seams going up. We're going to be able to put these 3 units together. The hourglass will go in the center with the A fabric on the top and the bottom, and the flying geese units will go on the side. So the A fabric is all the way around the outside. When we do sew these seams, they get to be pressed to the inside. And that's all there is for this piece, and we get to label it 5A. 5A is going to go into my bag, and I get to work on 5B, which will take the remainder pieces. We have 4 each of the E and F, so we're going to sew those together and press those seams towards that F. Those half square triangles will get stitched onto C. So F and C will be touching. And we're going to press to the C. Divide that block in half, give it a twist, and sew that together. So the F is in the center, pointing towards each other. And the seams will be pressed down. And while we're at the machine, let's sew E and A together. Those seams are pressed towards the E block. Now we can sew these together. The C and the E are going to match. Now if you find that the seam allowances are going in the same direction, we just need to do a rotation. And this seam is now facing down, and this one is facing up. So we're going to be able to nestle those 2 together and stitch that 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then those seams are going to go to the large pieces. And that's all there is for 5B. We can label it and put it in the bag and get ready for next month. Number 4, number 5 is now done. And I do like to keep my thread along with the bobbin into my storage. And that way, every month that I get it, everything's there and I don't have to worry about the thread or the bobbin. Now, this is a 10-month mystery, and that means we are halfway done. I'm doing a small and a large version in the pearl and a little Christmas color here. So it'll be a lot of fun to see what it looks like when it's done. Because we already have the first 5 mysteries done, do you ever take time and figure out how those mysteries are going to go together? Or do you wait right to the end and just be totally surprised? I often try to figure it out in my head how the pattern is going to go. But I'm going to wait a couple of months to try to do that. So this has been Cotton Cut's Sparkle and Shine Mystery Quilt Along. And I do hope you join me next time on August 12th, where we're going to do number 6 and number 7 for both the small and the large. Thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're working on next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.